Yeah, he's just watching all the monkeys roll around in dirt, throwing shit at each other back and forth, and we're like, yeah, our monkey's better, and then he just comes in, and then Korea wins.
Well, it's day 3 of MSI 2018 as the wind has kicked up in Berlin. I'm joined right now by Azael himself with coverage presented by no one. Yeah, Travis Gafford, my bank account, and the YouTube description. Either way, I've got Azael here today to talk a little bit about how MSI is going. So I thought that we were going to be doing like the funeral interview here for North America's chances, but they managed to pull off a win today against RNG. We don't know how their second game is going to go, but we'll see. How do you feel about Team Liquid so far?
We've got Kingzone next, so going to be easy. If Fnatic can beat them, obviously just kidding. But I think the first couple days were pretty rough. It's always really disappointing for NA fans and obviously for the team themselves to have these high expectations coming into an event and then fail to meet them. And while a lot of people want to kind of make excuses and talk about, is this or was that or is the other thing, to me, being successful at this game is more than just your in-game skill, right? It's mental fortitude. It is like having good coaching staff and an understanding of the meta and all these things. So, to be honest, I don't think there is an excuse for their performance the first 2 days. Whatever the reason was, it's all part of a combination of what makes you a good team, and they were clearly the worst team at the event the first 2 days. What I will say, though, is they are not the least talented team, right? They have the ability to play much better than they showed, I think, on those first 2 days, and that's kind of what we got to see here against RNG. So it really comes down to which one is going to show up, right? With Fnatic as well, horrible first day. They looked terrible, but they go back to what is tried and true for them, and they perform exceptionally well on day 2.
Yeah. Now, do you think so? There's an interesting thing here where when we're in Europe, because of the time zones, I go to sleep as North America's waking up and seeing what happened, and then I wake up as North America's going to sleep and has sort of spread out their opinions on Twitter and Reddit and everywhere. So I wake up and everybody's just like, Ole sucks, Team Liquid sucks, it's the world, North America, why does North America always fail, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel like the sort of public outcry of the past after these first 2 days is a fair one to have?
I think so. I think at the end of the day, we should have high expectations for these teams, right? When you look at the amount of resources that are poured into an organization like Team Liquid, there's rumors of the $1 million impact salary. What do you think the combined salary is of a team like EVOS, right? Probably a fraction of that, right? And then you're looking at, the coaching staff and the sports psychologists and everything that is available to them. So you should have high expectations. I think that is fair, but I think what I would always say is criticisms are valid, but should be limited to the play, right? Not to the person. And I think the personal attacks and stuff have no real place, but yeah, by all means, criticize the play, criticize, the read on the meta, criticize whatever you want there, because I do think that's legitimate. We should have high expectations for our teams. They're supported by, multi-million-dollar organizations, and these guys have state-of-the-art, training facilities and all these things. They have everything you should need to succeed, and it's just a matter of being able to execute on that level.
Yeah. What's it like for you here at the EU LCS studio? I won't go into whether or not it should have been in the EU LCS studio because I'm biased. But what is kind of cool is there is, compared to North America, where you guys are kind of in this little bird's nest thing in the corner, the casters have sort of an on-the-ground feel. You're on basically the same stage as the rest of the players. So what do you feel about sort of the experience here?
I actually like the EU studio a lot more than the NA studio, to be honest. Even just the caster room, I don't know if you've seen that, but they have a nice setup with some couches and monitors you can hook up a laptop to and a couple TVs to watch the game. So it's a very nice feel because you're also in a similar area to where the players are. So players are walking by, you can chat with the players, you can chat with the other casters and watch the game. So it has a really nice kind of community feel, I guess. And I personally really enjoy that the casting desk is by the crowd and by the players. I actually really enjoy. That was one of the things I actually really liked about the smaller studio in NA back when we were doing double stream was I could look right out and see the players, because one of my favorite things is seeing how the players are reacting when something goes well or poorly, because I find you can often read a lot into how a team is going to perform in the rest of the game when something goes bad. Are they communicating and thinking about next steps? Or sometimes you'll look over, a first blood is given up, and it's just silence, right? No one is saying a word. Everyone looks pissed, and you're like, well, they're not coming back. So I kind of enjoy that quite a bit. And I think the studio looks nice. I think, the players would prefer it to probably be in a bigger studio. I think most people love that feel, but I think it's been really fun.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the casting area being really nice here, the green room area, sorry, for the casters. I actually don't know. And so North America, they just have you like in a tent behind the building. Like what? You're like, they have TVs, there's couches. So I'm trying to visualize what this looks like. You're like, there's no TVs. You just sit on the ground. You pull out your phone. You kind of hope to see the stream.
I mean, it's not so bad. It's just that it's more like, it's not as set up there. It's kind of like more. We're using like a conference room that's kind of more converted, I guess. And they do have TV and all that stuff, right? But it's just, I think they have a very cozy setup, and I like that it's like the makeup room and the wardrobe room and everything are right across from that. Like everything is just in one area. There's snacks, there's coffee, there's everything in one area, like right around where the pro player rooms are, which is very cool. Whereas in the NA LCS studio, we're in a conference room in a corner back in the offices, and then as the makeup room is like literally under the stage over there, and then the pro player rooms are kind of somewhere in between. So like everything is more spread out. So here it's just everything is very kind of centralized, and that's one of the things I really enjoyed when I came for Rift Rivals and also for this.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings. I like the fact that media can go into like a little cafe here and interact with you guys and the pro players. I've noticed that when I try to sit down with you guys, you all kind of like turn your backs to me.
You never even came over to me. I waved at you, and you're just like, oh.
There was a feeling of,
is this guy Doublelift? I don't think I want to interview him. There's no point in talking to him.
Kind of goes back to high school. I just looked over at you guys, and there was a vibe that I was not. It was kind of the end guy. Like Jat saw me look, and he kind of just turned like this. Just a little bit of a turn. No, but I do like that. But the press. The press area, I think, at the NA LCS is a little nicer. We have in the same way that you have maybe a nicer caster setup here, we have a better press area back in North America. But it is kind of cool to sort of compare and contrast the different things. I will say I miss the parking lot, where everybody like congregates and hangs out, and everybody goes out. There's not really like a place to like go out and hang out here. So
the entrance isn't as cool here, and I'd also say our stage looks cooler in NA. So there's definitely pros and cons to each, but most of the stuff that I enjoy is stuff that like doesn't actually affect the show, right? It's just kind of behind the scenes, but it's just like creature comforts, I guess.
Yeah. So is the West going to actually do anything interesting at this tournament?
I definitely think it's possible. I mean, Fnatic has showed some really strong games. They just beat EVOS as I was coming out here, so they're 3-2 now. They took down Kingzone. I mean, if you look at their day 2 and the start of their day 3, they look incredibly strong. RNG is looking somewhat shaky. Like, it's certainly reasonable to think they could beat RNG later today and be sitting at 4-2, right? Fnatic is definitely looking pretty good. For TL, I really think it is a mental game. Are they able to kind of recover and stay strong? Because you're not expecting anyone to really beat Kingzone. Yes, it is possible, but you can't go into that with like a loss to Kingzone being your definition of failure, right? Like there's just such a damn good team. So I think they have to just kind of stay somewhat positive. You beat RNG, which is supposed to be, most people are expecting the second best team in the tournament. If you can play consistently, even whether you get first or you get fourth, you go into the knockout stage. It doesn't really matter. Yes, you could have a harder opponent, but it's still certainly possible. But I mean, they put themselves in a really big hole, so they would have to play kind of like above expectations to make up for it.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the strength of Kingzone, because I'm kind of curious about this. Going into this event, everyone was like, oh, as if anyone other than Kingzone will win. And it kind of had like the same sort of like pompous assumptions that you get whenever SKT goes to a tournament. Do you think that that's fair? Because I do feel like Kingzone looks a little bit more vulnerable here. Maybe they haven't like inherited sort of the SKT badassness yet, where they could just come in and destroy everyone. I mean, notable that Flashwells right now is like hanging out at the top.
We have to remember, like 2 years ago, SKT at MSI was 6-4. RNG won the group. RNG SKT is the semifinals. It was like a 3-0, a 3-1, right? This is a team that dominated in best of threes in LCK. It's not like they're just a Korean team. They are by far the best Korean team. They slammed the other teams in the LCK. The finals weren't even close. I think that it is always possible for them to drop games in a best of 1. I still think, honestly, they are by far and away the best team. When you get to best of 5s, whether they finish 4th place or not, no, it's not like anyone's going to pick them, as their opponent. Everyone's going to be trying to dodge them, because they have so many different strategies they can run. So it's like, does another team have the the breadth of champion pool? Like, do they have enough different strategies to actually beat them in a best of 5? Because they can play every style, right? You can have Khan on a carry. You can play full split push as he did on Alawi. You can play a standard team fight tank. tank type team. You can play, Prey playing supportive or full out hyper carry. So that is what makes them so scary, is that they have talented players in every single role who can play basically every single champion. And then how do you attack that team and pick bans? Whereas when you look at Flash roles, people are saying, well, yeah, they've done great, but Betty's only played Varus and Ezreal. Those are, his two most played by far. Like, how will he look on other champions, and so on and so forth. There's more approachable ways to attack them in pick ban.
Maybe you can give me a little bit of the behind the scenes with you and the other casters here, because whenever at these events, as you know, Kobe and Deficio get together, it's this weird, it's borderline romantic. But for you, what's it like hanging out with the rest of the folks that all come in? And are there anybody that you like seeing after hanging out with the North American guys most of the time?
I like hanging out with all of them. It's kind of fun. Like, I do think it's a pretty nice atmosphere as far as there's pretty strong rivalry, right? It's always kind of funny when NA is playing EU. It's obviously very intense, but then it's funny when you're the North American caster and you're watching Fnatic play someone else, and Deficio and Vedius and them are all freaking out about this Evo scam. And I'm like, wow, this is a pretty good game. This is fun to watch, right? And they're just like, no, they're just freaking out. So I think that's kind of one of the fun dynamics, is that everyone does this for a living, but everyone is still a mega fan. Like, you see Shox and Quickshot jumping up and down and hugging each other when Fnatic wins a game, right? People are fans at heart and they want their region to succeed. And I think that is something that is kind of invigorating to see, that these people who have been doing it for 7-8 years or whatever, however long they've been doing it, still are ultra invested and love the game and love their region and their teams.
Are Frosk and Papa Smithy the odd people out? They're just they'll be the one person holding it down for LCK or what, I don't know, whoever's playing.
I think Frosk is kind of more one of us as far as how she reacts to the games. Papa Smithy, I think, because Korea always wins, I think you're yeah, Korea, it's he wants to see good games. We all just want to see good games, and I think he has the luxurious position of his region always being the winner at the end.
He's out on the throne.
Yeah, he's just watching all the monkeys roll around in dirt, throwing shit at each other back and forth, and we're like, our monkey's better, and then he just comes in, and then Korea wins. Yeah.
Well, you've really got me hyped for Paris next week. Is there anything that you want to say to any of the fans out there?
I don't know. I guess thanks for being a fan. Thanks for supporting my boy Travis here, flying out. Travis Gafford Industries.
Is it Industries now? We've upgraded from esports to Industries. I like that.
It's Industries. You're doing God's work out here, Travis.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the shout out on the broadcast.
No problem.
It always kills me whenever I hear in an interview yesterday, Doublelift said this or somebody else, and then I'm just like, what? Hello? What about? So whenever you said it, chat said it later. Thank you so much. Anyway, for everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel. I know that these are normally more of a joke or a meme or whatever, but I do want to just give a heartfelt thank you for supporting my trip over here. A lot of you guys have hit up the Patreon page or the support page, and that is kind of lessening the blow of the costs doing this. I know North America is not doing too well, but I still am really happy that I'm here and creating all the different content for you guys. And a lot of you maybe are just liking or subscribing to the channel or just leaving nice comments, and that stuff is actually really, really helpful as well. Even in a world where you don't want to hit up the Patreon or the support page, just doing something like that means a lot to me. So thank you so much.